Welcome back to the Grow with Cara show. Today we continue our interview series with successful attorney marketers. We're taking a close look at what's working, what's not working so well, the specific steps these attorneys took to get to where they are. And remember, these are simple steps that you too can follow to get on a similar path to growth. Okay, let's get right to it. Today, our special guest is attorney Nima Rahmani. Nima is a former federal prosecutor and the president and co-founder of West Coast Trial Lawyers. His California personal injury firm has won more than 10,000 cases and collected $1.5 billion for clients. We're excited to have him here today. Welcome, Nima. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Cara. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to dive in. So, Nima, you have quite the story. You graduated from Harvard Law School at the age of 22, one of the school's youngest graduates ever. Tell us what you did after law school and why you ultimately decided to start West Coast Trial Lawyers.
Cara, I'm a super nerd, so I went straight to college at a young age and then law school. And like most Ivy League grads, I went to the path of least resistance, big law. I first worked at Gibson Dunn, then O'Melveny and Myers. The plan was always to become a judge. First wanted to be a state judge, then federal. So I went the prosecution route, went to the U.S. Attorney's Office, then handled cases for the city of LA, handling public corruption and government ethics type cases. And I was being vetted for the bench. And it turned out that my wife, who's also a lawyer, and I got pregnant back to back. We had 2 kids, and just having 2 government salaries living in Southern California was not sustainable. And I initially planned on maybe going back to the firm, seeing if I can generate some business as a partner. But my current partner, Alan, who recruited me out of law school, convinced me to start our own firm. So I really give him all the credit, even though I went along for the ride.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about your challenges or your early growing pains when you were sort of first starting out.
So when we started out, we had a lot of litigation experience. I tried a lot of cases, both at the firm and as a prosecutor, but I didn't know the business of law, even though I was very well versed in the practice of the law, or at least I thought, having tried so many cases. So I really had to start all over and learn the business side of things. I wasn't someone who started my own firm or worked for a small firm out of law school. So at Big Law, I represented huge corporate clients that had been with the firm for decades, clients like Disney, Marriott, the Roman Catholic Church. So I wasn't really generating business. And then obviously as a prosecutor, I didn't really have a client. My client was the public, the United States government, or the people of the city of Los Angeles, the people of the state of California, as the specific case may be. But obviously, when you're starting your own firm, you're going to need clients. And if you're doing any type of plaintiff's work, especially, you usually don't get repeat clients, right? It's not like some corporation or insurance company that you're representing month over month, year over year. So you have to learn how to generate that business. So that's one of the challenges, or one of the things I had to learn, even though I was 12 years out of law school.
What's one of the first things you did? How did you start drumming up that early business?
It was challenging. We first started by buying leads, and that's what a lot of people do. It gives you that instant injection of new cases. But as many folks know, if you're buying leads, sometimes those can be poor quality leads. They can be recycled leads. There's no better way to do it than go direct to the consumer. But during those first few months, we needed to get going. So we basically took kind of anything that came in, and not even necessarily the types of cases that we wanted. We did some billable work. We did some flat fee work. Now we have the luxury of turning down a lot of business or referring it elsewhere and not having to take those types of cases. But when you're starting out, you're going to need some of that upfront money just to keep the lights on.
Of course. So how are you positioning the firm now? What types of cases are you primarily handling?
So we handle exclusively personal injury and employment cases. Those are the only types of cases we handle. So any other type of case, if it's outside of our wheelhouse, we'll either politely decline it or refer it to another firm.
Mm-hmm. And how big is your team now? How many attorneys versus support staff?
We have 25 lawyers and more than 100 support staff. So it's a pretty large operation right now.
What has revenue growth been like over the years? Give us an idea of that.
So when we started about 8 years ago, we didn't make any money like most plaintiffs firms. It actually took us 2 years to make a profit. So if you are going to enter the plaintiff's world, make sure you leave yourself enough runway one of the challenges that firms have is, and I use the poker analogy, is they're short stacked. So you can't push cases to trial. You're desperate for cash flow, so you settle and you leave a lot of money on the table. So make sure you have that runway so you can push cases as aggressively as you possibly can, because it's going to take probably 1 to 2 years for you to break even and start turning a profit.
So is that was that your trajectory around year 3? You started to really see that growth?
Yeah, year 3 we really started to do well, and again, it depends on how you do things. If you want to kind of have a lean operation and get cases organically or through social media, not through much paid advertising, you could probably extend that a little further. We wanted to be very aggressive and grow the firm as quickly as we could, because again, we weren't a couple young attorneys straight out of school. We've been practicing for a long time, so we really wanted to catch up to some of our peers who we knew very well, folks that are doing billboards and TV and radio ads. Those are all friends of mine. I knew them from the space. So I said, well, I need to catch up with these firms as quickly as we can, because when it comes to personal injury, especially, sometimes bigger is better, because when clients are out there, they're clicking around. And I'm not saying all clients, some clients want a smaller boutique operation, but there are clients that want what they perceive to be the biggest and the baddest firm. So we really needed to get there, especially when they're not paying an upfront retainer, and a lot of the firms charge the same percentage contingency.
Right. So let's dig into what's fueling that growth a little bit. How are you marketing the firm specifically, Nima?
So we do almost entirely digital, and we do it in a few ways. And the reason we took the digital route is, after those first few months, I looked around and I said, well, how can I compete with these established brands? They've been around for so much longer. We're a brand new brand. So something like TV or radio or billboards, that's sort of a long-term brand play, didn't make sense for us. We went entirely in a digital direction, and not just your traditional, obviously, Google ads and PPC and those. We did a lot of social, and we do everything. We'll do Facebook. I do TikToks multiple times a week, and everything in between. So that's our lane, and we tend to stay in it, even though we do some traditional advertising. And one of the reasons it works is because I have such a wide array of experience, civil defense, criminal prosecution, criminal defense. I end up doing a lot of TV and traditional media as well. So I'm one of the few former prosecutors that doesn't do any criminal defense work. I am not conflicted off any cases. I don't really care what I say. And I have a lot of experience, whether it's political law or criminal law. So I spend a lot of time talking to reporters, and we use that to push out my name and the firm's name. It's great for SEO juice, and it's also great for brand awareness, because they say, okay, this is Nima Rahmani. I've seen him on TV. I've read about them. So it's one way that makes me and our firm stand apart from a lot of the other players in the space.
Yeah, that's unique. So is there one specific digital marketing channel that seems to be performing better, or is it this nice mix that you're talking about?
It's a mix. You don't know if someone's going to find you on Yelp or Reddit or LinkedIn. We'll do it all, and everyone kind of has their space. Older folks might like Facebook. Younger consumers maybe on TikTok. There's obviously people on Instagram, Twitter. It really doesn't matter, because whether it's one type of big tech or another, you really should cast a wide net. And we'll try anything. It might be a new up and coming platform. It might be Clubhouse or whatever the newest social media app. We're going to be on it, because you don't know what's going to take off. And really, the example I like to give is TikTok. And people laugh about it, but TikTok right now is just destroying all other social media platforms in terms of impressions. So don't be shy. If you're going to be a consumer facing firm, you got to go to where the consumers are.
Yeah, I want to dive deep into social in just a moment, because you're really mastering that realm. But about what % of your revenue would you say you're spending on marketing and advertising, if you had to estimate?
Percent of our revenue? I mean, pretty much whatever we get. I'm not here buying a yacht and private jets. Obviously, we pay our attorneys, we pay our staff, we pump back into marketing. So we're still heavily in the growth mode, even though, again, we're at a pretty large scale. We're going to start potentially expanding into some other states. So whatever revenue we make that's there, we're going to pump back into marketing to kind of continue growing the firm.
Smart. Yeah, you're definitely in growth mode. That's cool. So social media, let's talk about it. You're very active. The firm is at West Coast Trial Lawyers. You have more than 16,000 followers on Instagram, more than 60,000 followers on TikTok. Is social media a sizable lead driver for the firm? And what type of cases come through social media?
Yeah, we produce a lot of content on social media, and in certain areas it's easier. And for instance, employment, right? It's harder to target people in personal injury because it could be an 18-year-old, it could be an 80-year-old. You have no idea where they're going to live. But if you're targeting sexual harassment, there's a certain type of person who's more likely to be sexually harassed, or race discrimination, or age discrimination. So on the employment side, you can do a lot more in terms of social media content and social media advertising. And I always say not everyone gets injured, but mostly everyone has a boss and they don't like their boss. So there's a lot of good things you can do on the employment side of things for social media. And again, I'll do entertainment. For instance, I do Us Weekly's legal news every week. Obviously, politics, whether it's talking about Trump or Biden, obviously big criminal cases throughout the country. I do court TV, I do law and crime, things that aren't necessarily related to personal injury or employment, because candidly, it's hard to make law interesting and it's very hard to make personal injury interesting. So you got to gravitate towards the areas of law that most people care about, and that's politics, and that's crime, and that's celebrities. So I do a lot of that, even though again it's not necessarily related to what I do, because we are trying to make law interesting. It's not fashion, it's not music, it's not sport. So this is our way of doing so.
Yeah, I think you do such a great job in the sort of what I would call everyday law category, right? So legal issues that people who aren't necessarily looking for an attorney yet are interested in, right? It's that broader appeal, and then you can serve up some of the more targeted topics. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I'll talk about traffic. I'll talk about different kind of basic things that folks are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So there's a change in the law. It could be anything. We are going to talk about it, whether it's student loans or changes in drug law or whatever the case may be, differences in laws throughout the state, or something that's high profile. Obviously, a case like Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, that's something that got a lot of lay people that really have not a day-to-day interest in all. They are watching that trial every day. They're waking up at 6 a.m. Pacific. They're tweeting me, they're texting me, they're messaging me. So I'll do live commentary on a case like that. Again, if there's that specific interest. And there's been other cases like that, really important ones, like Derek Chauvin and George Floyd, we spent a lot of time on. So if there's an important case that has a lot of interest throughout sort of non-lawyers, whether it's here in the United States or even nationwide, we will cover it here at the firm.
That newsjacking approach can really gain traction. That's smart. So, Nima, the sort of conventional wisdom says it's best to have one voice, one person representing the firm on social media. You have 3 attorneys at least regularly contributing. How did that sort of come about?
So we want, everyone has their own style and their own voice. I'm probably the more serious one. I'm talking about news. But you have someone like Liana who is just so loved by, current clients and potential clients. We got to have her out there, and you want to have a diverse mix of men and women. And some people might be doing silly things or doing trends or appealing to women or entrepreneurs. Mike is sort of the serious single negotiator, and he has that persona and that presence. And that's one thing I got to give credit to our marketing team. I'm sitting in our studio here in downtown LA, and it was really their idea to kind of develop these multiple voices. And we have Spanish speaking attorneys, and even my partner Alan does some of it. So some of it is, is this individual comfortable in front of a camera? Are they going to be liked? But also to give, the audience a little bit of a different look. So it's not Nima Rahmani all day, every day. Let's mix it up. Look, maybe I'm doing the serious news things, but maybe folks identify with Liana more because she's a new mom or she's a younger lawyer. And, people are coming up, they're saying, hey, do I want to go to law school? That's someone I want to identify with. So that's where we kind of give our audience a wide array of voices, and they can choose who they want to listen to.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant, and it certainly distinguishes the firm. It really does. I look at a lot of law firm social media accounts, and it is very rare that you have not only multiple attorneys who are willing and comfortable on camera, but who have the time and are, it's really, it really does set you apart. I think it's super smart. How many
Thanks, Carl. But I gotta say, to tell folks, you gotta make the time. I mean, this is an
Yeah,
important part of
yeah,
what we
good
do.
point.
So,
Good point.
every day, whether it's a green screen, whether it's, a podcast, a TikTok, I mean, you will see me filming almost every day. And, we have, I just want to shout them out because we have our marketing team here that does so much of the heavy lifting. They come up with the ideas, they draft the scripts. I mean, no, oh my God, he films, he edits. So there's no way we would be anywhere near the success that we are without the team that I have the pleasure of working with every single day. They're absolutely awesome.
I love that. So how many people are dedicated to working on the firm's social media presence?
So dedicated to social media entirely, we have about 5 people that
Wow.
spend their time working on social media. Yeah. So, but we have also, so we have 3 different marketing teams here at the firm. So we have our social team. And of course, we have a CMO that oversees everything, but we have an organic team. We have 5, 6 people that are just doing content, they're getting links, everything SEO related. And then we have a paid team, and they're doing all our paid spend. It doesn't matter what platform it is. So those are our 3 subdivisions within marketing, and that's how we split it up. Now, some firms may not want to do any SEO. They might not want to do paid, but since we have a pretty broad shotgun approach when it comes to digital marketing, we have 3 separate teams that handle each of the very important sort of aspects of digital marketing.
All 3 super important pillars. How are you divvying up the work? Give us a little bit of an idea of, what you and the other lawyers are responsible for versus the other team members. You kind of touched on that, but I would love to understand that organization a little bit more.
Yeah, so I try to identify individuals and put them in a position to succeed. So, if someone is super aggressive, they may be a good negotiator, they may be a good litigator. So even when it comes to social media, I want to kind of put them in a position where it's something that is going to be a little bit more engaging. Let's say it's a Facebook or Instagram or TikTok live on a controversial topic. That person might be more engaging. If someone is less aggressive, more likable, we might want to have them do some non-live Q&A, something that we can film, something that we can edit down for the website. And again, it really depends on sort of comfort, presence in front of the camera. Some people here at the firm will like talking to our Spanish audience, so we'll want to do that. So it really depends on the person. For instance, I'll give you an example. For me, I don't care what it is. I will talk to a reporter anytime, anywhere about any legal case happening in the country. I'm just very comfortable doing that on the fly with no preparation. Some lawyers here may not be that person. They might want something that they can spend hours or even days preparing for. So maybe they'll be better suited for a podcast about, a cold case or something that's been going on for years, and we'll put them there. So it really depends on the lawyer. I want them to be comfortable with whatever aspect of marketing that they're handling. So I really try to tailor the work to their strengths.
Nima, take me through your current process from topic ideas and their sources through shooting, editing, posting, tracking. I know you have a team for that, but talk to us about the process. Are you batch recording?
Yeah, I mean, so we'll do all sorts of things. So obviously, anything news related has to happen immediately. Reporters aren't going to wait for you to get back to them. They're all on a deadline. That's our news cycle. So the top of priority is any breaking news, whether it's a video interview they want, if they want quotes via text or email. And similarly, when we do our breaking news work, I mean, it's immediate. It's got to be a green screen. It's got to be filmed. It's got to be edited and posted right away. Mm-hmm. That's on one extreme. The other is sort of contemporaneous legal things that are happening, but doesn't need to be posted, within the hour or minutes even. Something that we're following in terms of a big case. That's something that we can do maybe a live Q&A on. We'll set a time with some TikTok or Instagram, and we'll do weekly lives. We'd even do it on Facebook. So that's sort of second in terms of the priority. Again, not to say that it's less important. You just have a little bit more time. And in today's or a news cycle, if you're posting stale and dated content, you might as well not post it at all. And then you have kind of your older cases, right? Could be serial killers that people are obsessed with, cold cases. Those, we'll shoot, we have some more time to edit. And for just something like this, I mean, your podcast card doesn't have to go out today, even though we're filming it. You have a little bit more time, so that'll give our editors time to clean it up, polish it, maybe make it a little bit nicer than you would necessarily if what we're recording had to go up the same day.
So do you have in-house videographer, in-house editors? How are you handling the post-production?
Yeah. In-house editing, in-house video, in-house copywriters. So we have all that. So it's ready to go. I mean, my team's amazing. They'll give me a script, and of course, I'll take a look at it, make sure it makes sense, make sure legally we're not providing incorrect information to folks out there, but they handle everything for me. And because they're so good on social media, they have their finger on what people care about. Because many times I come into our studio, I come into our marketing meetings, and I'm like, hey team, why don't we talk about this? And they say, absolutely, you don't know what's trending. You're much older than our audience, so whatever the case may be.
Right.
So they'll tell me what people care about, and that's why I'm like, why are you talking about whatever topic there is? I'm like, well, because the people I trust, the people that know social media, are telling me that people want answers to these questions.
Nima, is the team putting any money into boosting posts or social advertising?
We do. On occasion, we'll boost posts if there's a specific reason to do so, but there's really nothing better than kind of content that goes viral organically. The boost posts, I'm not saying we don't do it at all, but you really want good content that people are caring about, people are sharing. I mean, that's the ideal way to do things if you're a content creator on social media.
Yeah, maybe see what's performing well, then maybe put a little bit of money behind it, right? Rather than just sort of blindly boosting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about kind of more traditional social advertising? Are you doing any Instagram or Facebook ads to drive appointments?
Oh, yeah. We do a lot of Facebook ads, Instagram ads, obviously Google ads, Yelp, Bing, Yahoo, LinkedIn. I mean, you name it. If there's a way to advertise, we cover pretty much every digital medium out there in terms of paid ads.
What are you promoting through those ads? I'm always interested to hear what's working. Are you promoting a consultation? Are you promoting a free resource?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the best thing for us is a phone call, right? When you have a client on the phone, that's the most valuable type of client, as opposed to a client that's chatting, a client that's submitting a website inquiry, a client that is emailing. Having that client on the phone, and of course, or in person, right? Whether someone's coming to the firm or we can go to them, that in person or on the phone interaction with the client is much more likely to convert, especially in our space, because it's not e-commerce where, someone is, clicking around, and if they click on your site and they make a purchase, that's great. We need a lot more information than that, than to decide whether a case is a viable case, it's a good case, it's a winnable case, client that we want to work with. So it's really tough to get all that information in an email or text or chat format.
So circling back, is social media directly generating leads for the firm?
It is, and it really is our brand. So, obviously, PPC is great. You have someone that is interested and willing to hire a lawyer, and guess what? Because we work on contingency, they're not paying anything up front. So when they're ready and we want the case, there's a very, very high chance that we're going to convert on that client, because they're not really shopping around like they would be, for instance, for DUI or some other type of law, right? So, but when it comes to social, that's our brand, that's our billboard, that's something that's constantly going to follow you. Because the example I like to give is, if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, and you're kind of scrolling down and you see, a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist, a filler or Botox, everyone's all about that. That's interesting. We are the equivalent of some orthopedic surgeon that's doing rotator cuff surgery. No one wants to think about getting catastrophically injured and needing to hire a lawyer. That's just not on anyone's mind. So that kind of, that presence out there, again, we hope no one gets injured, but if they do, they're like, oh, okay, well, I've seen Nima, he seems very knowledgeable. He's talking about all these things. Why don't I give him a call? Because again, no one's ever planning on something really bad happening to them. But when it does, if it does, I want our firm to be the first firm that they think of because of our presence on social media.
Yeah, you're their trusted legal advisor. You're building that trust before they ever even need you or before they ever even reach out. Absolutely.
And that trust is very important because people don't like lawyers, especially personal injury lawyers. We have a very bad reputation, for better or worse. People think that we're ambulance chasers, that we only care about money. That's why I really try to bring knowledge of other areas of the law that our viewers may actually care about. So if and when they develop that trust in me and our firm, they're more willing to call us than some other firm out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are social cases coming, are they calling your office directly? Are they DMing you? Are they sort of engaging in comments? How are they coming through?
Yeah, so lots of DMs when it comes to social media. That's just how, especially on Instagram, that's how usually people are used to communicating. We do get calls, and of course we track them religiously. We do get emails, but I would say a lot of them come from DMs. That's primarily how folks, especially if it's a sensitive legal issue, they may say something in the comments, but oftentimes people don't want, everyone on social media to know their legal business. So oftentimes it'll come from a DM.
So are you personally handling those DMs, or is a member of your intake team kind of handling that outreach?
So our social team is very good about responding to comments and messages. Some of them are potential clients. Some of them are folks who, are trolls or have an interest in working in our firm. So there's all types of people on social media, as you can expect. So because they're so good at keeping the engagement going and replying to people that have questions, it might be like, hey, are you hiring? Or can I stop by, this particular office? Or are you guys open, veterans there, whatever the case may be. So they're very good about keeping the social media active. I have to confess, even though it's sort of my face on there, it's not me actually replying to those comments.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. Yeah. You and I connected through Instagram. So yeah, I completely understand. Social media, it's obviously a national platform. So are you referring those out of state social leads that come in? How are you handling
it? So what I like to do is if I know a reputable firm in another state, I will make the referral. We're not a referral mill or a marketing company. So, I don't want to refer a client to a firm that I'm not comfortable with, I don't have a relationship with. I can't really vouch for the quality of their work. But if there's a firm that we've co-counseled with, or if I've known the lawyer for many years and I know they're going to provide good service, I will make the referral. And one of the ways that we're different, and really digital is different, and people should know this, is that you can't write a bad review for a billboard. You can't write a bad review for a TV or radio commercial. But you certainly can for a firm that you found on Facebook or on Google. So we need to provide better service. And I don't want to refer folks that have spent some time reviewing reviews about our firm and they trust our firm to a firm that maybe doesn't have that same quality of lawyering. So if I'm comfortable, we'll make the referral. And if not, we'll just kindly tell them, we don't practice it in this jurisdiction. You should do your research and find a firm that does.
Smart. Nima, you also host a podcast, LA Legal. You and your guests give legal perspective on everyday issues. You talk about celebrity, high-profile cases, breaking news. Why is hosting a podcast worth your time? Why do you do that?
Because people love true crime. It's so hot right now, and there aren't many. There you go. And there aren't many. Former prosecutors that are doing these podcasts. I could tell you, this is what it's like to handle a murder case or a rape case. This is what I did for years. And not only do I do it, this is something I cover every week for channels like Court TV and Law and Crime. So I fully understand how these cases are investigated. I end up doing a lot of Dateline because I know both the investigation process and the prosecution part of the case as well. So I can explain to individuals, this is why the case was handled the way it was. Law enforcement did this for this. This is why they got this search warrant. This is why it took so long to find the person. This is why the defense took the procedural steps they did. This is what the jury was thinking. This is why the prosecution charged this and not that. So I can really kind of give some insight and answer the questions, because oftentimes really it's a chess game that's being played by the police, in the target of their investigation or by the prosecution and the defense. So I love it. And it's my way of staying relevant when it comes to criminal law, even though I'm doing exclusively civil work.
It is super interesting. I have listened to several episodes. I highly recommend it. It's great. I also want to ask about your memoir, Harvard #, My Journey from Big Law to Business Owner. It's available on Amazon. Why did you write this book? Where did the inspiration come from for this book?
Yeah, I have to give credit to Nancy Grace. I was doing an interview with her, and I forgot it was either Kyle Rittenhouse or George Floyd, and this was during the pandemic, and there was a commercial break, and she said, she was a former prosecutor, she's like, Nima, oh my God, you've done so many different things. You work for these big firms, you represented these huge corporations, you're a prosecutor for many years. Now you started your own firm. You have such a broad array of experience. And now you do TV all the time. You're a commentator. She's like, you should write a book. And I said, you know what? I will write a book. So, I wrote this book and it was my first time. So I learned a lot throughout the process. But I talk about all the different types of cases I've handled as a prosecutor, defending, like Disney or the Roman Catholic Church. And now having my own firm, a lot of the lessons I've learned. Obviously, I went to Harvard Law School, but I spend so much time on social media. So that's where that hashtag part comes in, and just trying to pivot and go into really what the people care about. And really, social media is huge right now.
Very cool. Very cool. So Nima, before we wrap up, I always like to ask, if a lawyer watching only has time to adopt one, maybe two of your tips, what would you recommend?
Yeah, I would say spend time on social. It is a growth area, and don't be afraid to, make a TikTok, shoot an IG reel. It's not beneath you. It's what everyone is on right now. So sometimes lawyers can be dinosaurs and not embrace technology like some other professions. So don't make that mistake. Dive headfirst into social media and let's do a collab together.
Just start. I love that. I love that. Okay, Nima, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It was a real pleasure. It was a lot of fun learning from you. Thank you so much.
Cara, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Nima really shared a lot. Here are the 4 big takeaways that I see. 1, small budgets work in social media. You don't need deep pockets to compete with the big advertisers on social platforms. Success comes from the right topics, regular posting, engagement with followers. All 3 are necessary to see a solid return, but spending on social ads is not essential. Number 2, talk about what people care about. They don't care about personal injury, frankly, right? They do care about politics, crime, celebrities. They're interested in law that affects their everyday living. Your post should primarily focus on everyday law, high-profile cases, and criminal law with periodic posts about your specialty. Number 3, engagement is key. You or someone on your team must respond to comments and direct messages. Most of your leads, they'll come through those DMs, just as Nima's have. So if you fail to interact, your results will certainly suffer. And number 4, learn from others. Follow those firms with large numbers of followers and rapid revenue growth. Scroll through their posts, review the ads they run, then put your own twist on what you see working, right? You'll rapidly improve with experience, and results will come if you post regularly and just stick with it. Just stick with it, right? Big thanks to Nima for sharing all of his experience today. It was a pleasure. We'll see all of you next time for the next Grow with Cara show. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.